Oh my gosh. How's your cold drink?
Wonderful.
Yeah, I thought so.
Wonderful. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Matt and Fiona Show. Thank you so much for joining us and for tuning in wherever you're at. We are quite excited because this is episode 11. I don't know if you know this, but most podcasts, something like 60 to 70% of podcasts, they never get past episode 10.
Way to go for us.
Woohoo!
Woohoo.
We're awesome.
It's awesome.
We have 365 episodes to catch up to my other show. So we got a ways, but we'll get there. Trust me. Again, thanks again for joining us. We are going to jump right in to today's episode, talking about, are we there yet? Which you think I'm talking like the kid in the back seat who's, Daddy, are we there yet? But I'm not.
No, you're not.
We are talking about, are we there yet in life? Why am I not there? Essentially, you were out a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
Running an errand for church and popped into one of the stores you go into quite often. Ran into a young lady that you know.
Yep.
And I don't know how you get into these deep conversations about life in random stores with random people.
It happens.
But you do.
Often.
I talk to people in Home Depot about tools. Those are my, and lumber prices, and that's about it. But you have wonderful.
I make friends. Everywhere.
Nope.
Nope. You have friends at Home Depot.
I have lots of friends at Home Depot. And I know who not to talk to at Home Depot too. But anyways, you guys got into this deep conversation about life stages and and stuff.
We did.
Yeah, you did.
I did. It all stemmed. You're just staring at me. It all stemmed. We did. We got into life stages. She's a young girl, and this has come up with some other people as well. I homeschool our kids.
I like the way you did that. Yeah, that'll work.
Yes, I homeschool our kids. And that just happens to, spark a whole lot of conversations.
It definitely does.
Often. And especially because of the pandemic, even more so, people are curious as to, well, did you just do it because of the pandemic? Or have you always done it? Did you do it before? Have you decided to continue? And we did it before it started, and man, was I grateful, and we've continued to keep going. But neither here nor there. One of the girl that I was talking to in particular, she, was curious about some of the benefits and what I saw, how it benefited my kids, and kind of long-term, she was curious long-term about homeschooling, which again, homeschooling, this is a whole other topic. That's not where I'm going with this. But what happened is through it, we started talking about life stages, and it had come out that, for most kids, when they're in, kindergarten, grade 1, grade 2, when they're 6, there were 6-year-olds. When they're 7, there were 7-year-olds. When they're 8, there were the 8-year-olds. Obviously, give or take a year, because there is some variation. Cohen, if he was in a grade 2 class in the school system, he's 8. There are still some 7-year-olds, obviously, in the classroom. But for the most part, you go through stages in life. When you're 6, you're with 6-year-olds. When you're 7, you're with 7-year-olds. When you're 8, you're with 8-year-olds. And that is how you transition through your entire life when you're in the school system, kindergarten through
high school.
High school.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It changes, after that point, as you have mentioned, but, especially kindergarten through grade 12 or 12th grade. Yes. You are with your same age all the way through. And, it comes to a point when, you start playing sports. Now, I'm from the States, you're not, but, junior varsity sports start in grade 7. Everybody starts in grade 7 for junior varsity.
Thank you for explaining that.
Yes, okay.
Because I wouldn't
Okay.
have known.
So there's junior varsity sports, there's varsity sports. So then everybody around grade 9, grade 10 gets into varsity sports. All your friends, obviously, give or take, you may have some friends that are older or younger, you all get your driver's license around the same time. And, you know, you're all applying for, if you go to college or trade schools or whatever, you're applying around the same time. You're getting your acceptance notices, hopefully, around the same time. But everything, you start working and getting jobs all around the same time. You know, 15, 16, 17, kids start getting jobs. So up until that point in life, you are going bit by bit.
With your peer group.
With your peer group from start to finish.
Everything for the most part is happening at the same time.
Yes.
And I think what kind of stemmed part of this conversation was, and I get asked this a lot as well, is something along the lines of like, well, are you concerned about your kids not, being with as many other kids?
Yeah.
And are they going to climatize and be able to relate to people?
Yeah.
And one of the things that we've been really blessed with is our kids, well, they have friends their own age. They also have friends that are younger than them and older than them. To the point of our kids are super happy to go talk to our neighbors who are young professionals.
Yes.
With professional jobs. And not only that, they're just as happy when those professionals have their parents come by.
Yes.
Who are almost the age of my parents. And they're
retired
to go have in-depth conversations.
Yes.
With
spend time with them and
again, retirees.
Yes.
And I don't mean that in a negative way, but like they've learned and developed to a point to where they're comfortable with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what spawns the kind of the deeper conversations about life stages and things like that. And I think what is always so confusing to people is that transition. When all of a sudden everything changes in your life and your friends start doing different things.
Yeah. So it had come up with that is with my kids being homeschooled, I notice the fact that, even at church, they love when their friends are there that are their age, but they will also go hang out with the teenagers. They will hang out with people our age, in their 50s, in their 60s.
Yep.
They love one of the ladies who's in her 90s.
And they go have conversations
and
with
they
her.
will go talk to her. And so for us, our kids, they are exposed. I mean, even just the checkout lady at our grocery store, they look for her and they can't wait to have a conversation with her. They know the lady at the post office, and we do all this and we go on about. But so that's what spawned the conversation, is what I think is great is my kids are not traveling through life with just their age group. They spend time on a daily basis, not just with family, but with individuals of varying ages. So then again, going back to the young lady that I was talking to, what happens is after you graduate, after traveling through life with everybody at the same stage, at the same age, you hit those 20s, and all of a sudden, some people are getting married, some people are not. Some people are having babies, some people are not. Some people are in relationships, some people are not. And all of a sudden,
some people are moving away, some people still live at home, some people have apartments, some people have cars. The change in lifestyle
is so drastic after walking through the same stages of life together that I've noticed with some young people, they have a hard time and they start comparing themselves to, well, oh my goodness, this friend is engaged and that friend's engaged, and wait, they've got their wedding set, and or this person has their job and their career set and I'm still finding my way and I don't quite yet know what I want to do because I'm only 22. And I mean, if I knew, at 22, I am not anywhere where I thought I was going to be.
Right.
At all. And talking with this young individual, and I've had this conversation a few times, it makes me realize that, you go through life and, you're on this path and you're kind of traveling, whether you're a Christian or not, you're traveling the same path.
You go through so many, like yearly, you get compared to everyone else.
Yes.
In your
Yes.
age group, you get conditioned. You get a card
Yes.
from your teacher reminding you where you are in your group of 30.
Yes, you have your SATs and you're graded according to where you stand.
So you are conditioned.
Yes.
You're not. This is not your fault. This is not something that you don't come by honestly.
No.
Sorry, I just clued into that.
Yes. No, but so basically what it comes down to and this is for some of the young people who are in their 20s.
The older people.
And the old people, sure,
You
yes.
do it too. Heck, I do it.
I was going to say, I do it too. But it's just a conversation that I've had with a couple of younger people, and they're like 20, I guess they're 20 age range.
We've talked about it on this show with us.
Yeah.
Of how just before I met you, I had gone
Yes.
through a state where I was, shall we say, annoyed and frustrated that I hadn't met anyone because all my friends were. Most of my friends were married.
Yes.
Most of them were having kids before I met you.
And then for us, it became everybody else has kids, but we haven't had kids, and we weren't where we wanted to be. But this happened so much. And one of the conversations that I had with one of the young girls,
Young
ladies, yes, as you know, well, this person is dating and this person is dating, and she is a believer, she's a Christian, and she, because of work and just because of school and because of life, obviously she's surrounded by a bunch of people that don't go to our church. And my question to her was, well, are they planning to marry? Like, are any of these girls planning to get married, or are they just in, loose relationships? And she's like, it's being blunt. And, they were just having fun or whatever. And the point I made was, okay, if they're just having fun, you think they're ahead because they have somebody in their life, but in fact, they're just wasting time. Mm-hmm. Which is a whole other conversation, but they're wasting time. Whereas this girl, was going to school, she was furthering her degree, and she's waiting. Because
she's waiting for the right person.
She's waiting for the right person because her end goal is not just to waste time with somebody who takes their heart and ruins it.
Well, in the same way that, it's good to wait for the right job.
Yes.
The right opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Which, again, don't sit at home and don't do anything. That's not what I'm saying. But it is really hard when you hit that stage in life where everything that you've known.
Yes.
In your circle of influence, your sphere of influence, whatever, where everything's going different directions.
Yeah.
And that's not bad. That's not uncommon. It happens to literally everyone.
It's just life.
And there are those people that have, maybe you're one of them, who you're still friends with, people that you went to school with and you grew up, like we watch one of the renovation shows, and the guy is best friends with his two friends that he's had since like grade 2.
Growing up.
Like, it's ridiculous. And,
it's awesome.
Highly adorable.
Yes.
But that's not necessarily true for most people. And that's okay.
Yeah.
And I think that's the big crux of this conversation, is that it's good to wait. It's good to be looking forward, but to not be caught up in
where everybody else. So
Yeah.
am I there yet? And am I at that stage yet where I feel I'm supposed to be, because looking at everybody else,
Why aren't I there?
This is where I'm supposed to be. And I'm going to throw this out there. Social media does not help.
What? Are you saying it's not all real? And people don't just post their highlights?
And this is just one other comment I'm going to make, is so often what winds up happening, and I say this all the time, is so many times you wind up comparing your worst of yourself to the best of somebody else.
I was listening to something, and this is a couple weeks ago, months ago probably, one of the shows I listened to, and he was interviewing this guy, and very colorful character, we'll say. And they started talking about his Instagram feed. He's like, "You don't post a lot," and he said, and again, for whatever reason, I had never thought of this. He's like, "I post all the time, and I delete almost everything." He goes, I give people a curated view into my life in my Instagram. And I was like, shoot, most of these people I follow who are influencers in some way, shape, or form, right? Or who are important in their world, I think they post to Instagram the same way I post Instagram. Of like, oh, that's cool, I'm going to post that.
Right.
And they do the, let's see what this will do.
Right.
And they research it, and they curate. It's a magazine spread.
Yeah.
It's not real life, which I know, and I know this, and I'm not dumb, and I'm aware of this. But it was an amazing reminder of the fact that especially the quote-unquote important people that you follow,
Yeah.
that we all follow, they're curating the heck out of their lives for you online, which stems from your point.
Yes.
Of you look at your worst day.
Yep.
And compare it to the best of someone else. And social media aside, you do that with your friends. You did that with your job. You do that with, your neighbors.
Absolutely.
It is so easy to sit back and compare yourself, which again, we've talked about in previous shows.
Yeah.
But I think that the whole juxt of this conversation is to jump back to that concept of things that are worth having, or worth waiting for,
Yeah.
worth putting the work into to get, and to realize that it's okay to be where you are.
Yeah.
And when you compare, if you think that the only route to your happiness is to be the same as that person that you perceive to be happy,
Right.
you would be typically wrong.
Well, it comes back to, I'll put this plain and simple. This is just an illustration from my life. My life was, going according to plan No. I mean, okay, let me rephrase. Not that but I had figured my life
It was
out.
going to your plan at the time.
At that time, yeah. And, I was, going to school. I was getting my degree. I was going to become a teacher. All of that happened. Then I was going back for my master's. And in my mind, I was then, once I completed my master's, I was going to go for another master's so that I could get into administration. And I had all my puzzle pieces lined out. And then all of a sudden, I met you. So this is the illustration I give. I had my puzzle pieces, and here I am laying my puzzle pieces down as I think completing my puzzle. And then all of a sudden, it was as God came in, not as though God came into my life, because he was definitely in my life. But this is the way that I just envisioned it, that it was almost as though he took them and he said, give me your puzzle. He took all the pieces and he said, let me put them down. And then all of a sudden, he's built
some more.
and adds some more and takes some of those pieces away.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, he started putting down the puzzle pieces instead of me. So I didn't get married when I thought, because I did not want to get married. I was not ready to get married, which I know that is not everybody's case at that point. But I had just started my master's. I was finishing my master's. Let me tell you, I did not have an opportunity at that point in time to finish my master's. I eventually did, but not where I had planned and not on the timeline that I had planned.
You're welcome.
So that got shifted. My jobs have not been what I thought they would be. We did not have kids when we thought we were supposed to have kids. But the thing is I had to let go and had to give those puzzle pieces to God. And, I've been doing a study on waiting on the Lord. And, we're always waiting on something at every stage in our life. And the amount of scriptures that talk about waiting on the Lord, being patient, trusting in him, it's just made me realize that, he's got a plan and he has a purpose.
What's everything in God's timing?
It is everything in his timing.
So often, because we're comparing ourselves to other people and we're thinking that we're ready for whatever that
Right.
thing is. We want to try to jumpstart the process. We want to try and help God along, which is adorable. But we do it all the time.
Which is dangerous.
Very much so. But out of every conversation that I've ever had with somebody in this vein, that's what it always comes back to, is if you would wait, and again, I use the same, my side of that same example that you just gave of when we met. Every time I tried to push it or tried to drive that bus, it never even got close
Right.
to where I was supposed to be.
Yeah.
And when I finally stepped back and said, fine,
Right.
we got where we wanted to be, met you and fell in love.
And fell in love.
And then you get this podcast. So
Yeah.
I guess the moral of today's story is you just got to wait on the Lord.
Wait on the Lord, trust in Him, know that, He has everything planned out. One last thing that I'll just put, and this is something that our pastor said a couple weeks ago that kind of really hit home to me, was he had said, patience is for our protection. And, patience is also known as long suffering in the Bible. And sometimes that's what it seems like. It feels like long suffering.
But being out of step and pushing it is worse.
Is worse, absolutely.
And we've seen that a lot.
We've seen that. But so for anybody who's at a stage where they're watching other people and wondering maybe why am I not there yet? God knows why you're not there yet.
Yeah.
And, let go and let God. It seems, a little simple to say, but let go and let God. Trust Him. Wait on Him. And He's got a plan. You've been created on purpose for a purpose. He's got the whole purpose laid out for you. Wait on Him and don't compare yourself to others. And it doesn't matter when something happens in somebody else's life, because that's their life.
Yeah.
What matters is what is happening in your life and God's planning, God's timing for you. So wait on the Lord, trust in Him, and stop comparing yourself to others. Compare yourself to the Word of God. Yeah. If you need a comparison, compare it to the Word of God. Where do you stand? Because you want to know what His timing and His answers are perfect, better than we could ever imagine. And we've had to learn that in so many different areas. We're still learning it in certain areas.
I'm still walking in them.
Still walking in it, but
there you go.
Yeah.
That's our show for today. So thank you for joining us. Again, if you enjoyed it, if you liked it, send us an email, drop us a note, comment, like the page. You can, of course, always find us at Matt and Fiona Show on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. I think we're on Twitter. I have to check. I don't remember. We might be on Twitter and have never tweeted. But I do enough on my account for both of us. But again, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And we will see you next week.
Have a great week.